Mandalorian Episode 6 features tons of Easter eggs and guest stars and references to movies that aren't even part of Star Wars, and I'm going to tell you everything you missed here on Screen Crush. Hey there, I'm Ryan Arey. This show is tapping one genre after another. The first few episodes were based on Western and samurai films, the fourth was based on both, and episode 5 was a retelling of the young versus old gunslinger trope. This episode starts off as a heist/prison break, but ends up becoming a slasher film. The space setting even gives it a claustrophobic feeling like Alien or Sunshine. Mando is the monster in the hallway, like a ghost getting bloody revenge one person at a time. But let's talk about the many guest stars in this episode. Bill Burr is a comedian who's also appeared in Breaking Bad. When Mando learns he's an ex-Imperial sharpshooter, he says,
"That's not saying much."
Because even though Obi-Wan said,
"Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise,"
we all know stormtroopers couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo.
I wasn't a stormtrooper, wise ass.
Mayfeld says,
It's like a Canto Bight slot machine.
A reference to the casino planet in The Last Jedi, where, you'll remember, Mark Hamill mocapped a drunk alien feeding coins into BB-8 like a slot machine. That's not an Easter egg, I just love that part of the movie. Then there's Mark Boone Jr., who was Flash in Batman Begins, and Bobby Elvis on Sons of Anarchy.
I swear to God. Swear to me!
There's also a Devaronian, the species we first saw in the Star Wars Cantina back in New Hope. He's played by the hardest screw who ever walked a turn in Shawshank, Clancy Brown. He also voiced characters in the Clone Wars and Rebels cartoons, and voiced Lex Luthor, and was a villain in Daredevil, making him the latest of many actors to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars. How many can you name? Go. There's a Twi'lek named Zeon, and this is a species we've seen in several prior movies. She's played by Natalia Tana, who is also Tonks in Harry Potter and Osha in Game of Thrones. And the droid Zero is played by Richard Ayoade.
I said, this is going to be the most significant televisual event since Quantum Leap. I do not say that lightly.
When Zero and everyone else access the computer systems, the interface is the same that R2-D2 and other droids use throughout the series. They need Mando's ship, the Razor Crest, to pull off the rescue, because it's so old it predates even the Imperial systems.
The Razor Crest is off the old Imperial and the New Republic grid.
Now, I've mentioned in a previous video that it's slightly modeled after the Republic transports used during the Clone Wars. Zeon also mentions,
asking about the job on Alzok 3.
Now, this frozen planet has been mentioned in several video games and Star Wars novels. One of them drops an interesting hint about the Mandalorians.
Apparently, they're the greatest warriors in the galaxy. So they say.
Then why are they all dead?
They're referring to the Great Purge that we've heard mentioned in previous episodes.
These are the spoils of the Great Purge.
And we knew the Empire went to Mandalore and stole the Beskar, but this is the first indication that they actually slaughtered the Mandalorians wholesale.
Our strength was once in our numbers. Now we live in the shadows and only come above ground one at a time.
So that explains why they become such hardcore warriors who refuse to show their faces to the world.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Now, we're working on a full video about the history of Mandalore, so subscribe so you can catch that when it comes out. Bill Burr also brings up the Gungans from the Phantom Menace and mocks the way they speak.
You're thinking, people gonna die?
Is that why you so don't want to show your face?
Now, personally, I love it when Disney Star Wars acknowledges the prequels because it makes the prequels better. I'm still rooting for a grizzled, regretful Jar Jar Binks to appear in Rise of Skywalker. There's a radar dish on top of the prisoner ship that looks exactly like the replacement radar dish on the Millennium Falcon after Lando broke his promise to Han.
She won't get a scratch. She did.
The hatch opening is exactly like the Millennium Falcon's hatch that we first saw in Empire Strikes Back. They pass by a variety of prisoners, including an Imperial officer. Now, this guy is an Ardenian, the same species as Rio Durant from Solo. That character was voiced by Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau.
No, you've never been to a Minok roast on Ardenia. It's nuts!
The droid that Berg shoots is an MSE-6, or a mouse droid. These have appeared in the original and sequel trilogy. The way it runs in fear is very similar to...
You ain't never gonna believe what I just seen.
The battle droids on the ship bear insignias of the New Republic. Now notice it's the same symbol as the Rebellion but surrounded by stars. This represents the systems of the galaxy. You might be wondering, why is the New Republic using droids? Wasn't that a Trade Federation thing? Well, after the Empire was defeated at Jakku, the New Republic actually demilitarized, dropping about 90% of their military. So it makes sense that they would use droids for more basic policing functions, like working as prison guards. The ship also looks brand new and is all shiny and white. Now this is a sharp contrast to the design of Imperial ships, where the hallways were always black or dark gray. Also, later in the episode, the white surfaces become blood red when the emergency lights come on. This is reminiscent of 2001: A Space Odyssey and adds to the slasher movie feel of the episode. The New Republic soldier is played by another Star Wars vet. This is Matt Lanter, who voiced Anakin on the Clone Wars series. He's wearing the helmet of a fleet trooper. These were the security forces of Alderaan and their consular vessels, which is why these soldiers wear them in New Hope. They were originally modeled after samurai helmets, as was Darth Vader's. On his helmet, you'll see letters in Arabesh, the written language of BASIC, the language used in Star Wars that sounds exactly like English.
You speak English?
I am actually speaking Rigelian. By an astonishing coincidence, both of our languages are exactly the same.
Now, these letters spell out his designation, DC-1, but they're actually backwards, so maybe they shot this one way but then had to flip the frame to make it work for some reason. They rescue another Twi'lek named Quinn, and this is another veteran Star Wars cameo played by your mom. Mando tries to burn Berg, proving the Devaronian skin is stronger than Stormtrooper armor, and yet the Emperor only let humans serve in the military. Space racism, guys, that's how you lose wars. The gunship at the end has a back-end design that's very similar to the Naboo starfighters in The Phantom Menace. So much so, I wonder if it was made from one of those older ships. The X-Wings at the end are piloted by 3 directors from this series: Rick Famuyiwa, Dave Filoni, who also created Clone Wars, Rebels, and the Resistance TV series, and Deborah Chow. She's going to be running the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series.
Hello there.
The episode was written by Christopher Yost. He's a Marvel House writer who actually wrote the first draft of Thor Ragnarok. Well guys, that's all the Easter eggs I found. If you found any, let me know down in the comments below, and if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Arey.